let's move on to Kash Patches Patel, as I pointed out before, because he's in celebration mode. It's a good job. They're tracking down criminals, they're making America safer, and they're taking pipe bombers off the streets.
When you attack American citizens, when you attack our institutions of legislation, when you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life. And this FBI and this Department of Justice stand here to tell you that we will always refute it and combat it. We will provide the safest country the nation has ever seen under President Trump's leadership here. And that's what we did here today with great resolve.
Kash Patel's in a good mood. I just want to think about what is that he said. When you attack American citizens, when you attack our institutions of legislation, when you attack our nation's capital, you attack the very being of our way of life. It's really odd because he's talking about January 6th, and he's not talking about the 1,500, 1,600 or so people who attacked American citizens, attacked our institutions of legislation, and attacked our nation's capital. He's not talking about any of them, who many of which are, repeat criminal offenders afterwards. Who he's talking about is the pipe bomber who placed some bombs in front of the RNC and DNC offices, apparently in DC, right around January 6th, and they're in full celebration mode. He wants everyone to know, without the jacket with the patches on this time, I think he's going to abandon that. Without his jacket on, the guy is now going to go ahead and talk about how great they did their job versus the Biden administration.
On a case of massive public importance, as it should be, an individual who is now alleged to have placed multiple explosive devices to blow up multiple people and multiple officials, innocent civilians, is now arrested thanks to the brave men and women of the FBI and the interagency. I want to take a moment to thank the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Capitol Police, our brave prosecutors, the Department of Justice, and our leader, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro, whose relentless work on this case made this possible. As the Attorney General said, we did not discover any new information. What we did, an investigation spearheaded by the Deputy Director and the ADIC of our Washington field office, brought in a new team of investigators and experts, re-examined every piece of evidence, sifted through all the data, something that the prior administration refused and failed to do. As a result of that, we generated numerous investigative leads, executed multiple legal process with our U.S. attorney partners, and came to this conclusion today. And that is why we were able to safely secure this individual into custody.
I understand the celebratory nature. I understand talking about how well you did. All these guys do it. It's not like it's a Republican or a MAGA thing. When you catch a criminal, when you catch, or at least you have this suspect in custody, the point is you want to come out and talk about how you've accomplished these things. All of that makes sense. It's just weird that the whole purpose for doing this is to talk about how you did it so much better than a previous administration, as if there's, a comparison that needs to happen outside of you just getting the job done. In fact, he also went over on Newsmax, one of these, to talk even further about it. As a matter of fact, make a direct differentiation between their approach and also what Joe Biden did.
They deliberately did not want to solve this. I mean, this was challenging, but it was solvable, right?
In my opinion, the prior administration either was completely incompetent or intentional in their weaponization of justice and law enforcement. And we know they have a track record of the latter with Arctic Frost and Russiagate and so many else. So I put this in that folder. What we did was we rejected and are in the process of destroying and leveling the weaponization of justice and law enforcement and delivering results for the American people.
The Biden Justice Department purposefully didn't find the guy because they're too busy with their weaponization. I just talked about how for the second time, their weaponization of the Justice Department to go after Letitia James and James Comey and everyone else they could potentially name, that it keeps failing. So we're literally looking at them describe this administration and then heap that on the Biden's administration, which, by the way, didn't do enough as far as going after criminals. I mean, the 34-time felon in the White House should have been in jail. But to talk specifically about how they just didn't want to do it. I mean, maybe they're too busy with their weaponizations, or in his media tour to celebrate and congratulate himself on this. I'm sorry, to demonize anyone else about this and not even fully congratulate himself on it. What he did was he went on with Don effing Jr.
I never understood how this could just disappear. I mean, 2 pipe bombs targeting the headquarters of the Republican Party, targeting the headquarters of the Democrat Party. I can understand maybe the media ignoring targets on the Republicans because, again, their silence is golden and they only report on that. But, I mean, that to me is a far greater threat than any of the nonsense, a grandma taking a selfie inside of January 6th. And yet it just disappeared. It's almost like that was the backup plan if they didn't get what they wanted out of January 6th, which to me seems like a very clear setup operation.
And look, you're absolutely right. Thanks to President Trump's sweeping victory and mandate for accountability across all sectors of law enforcement, especially those that harm Washington, D.C. and our elected leadership and American lives visiting our nation's capital, we just went at it with the same approach that we go after every single case this FBI handles. No resource will be spared. No agent or analyst or staff support will be spared. These guys worked literally around the clock for the last 6, 7, 8 months producing these lines of evidence, finding the leads. And you now know, based on the publication of the press conference, that yes, there were tips in there clues in there that we keyed in on.
You can see the objective here, right? You can totally see the objective. You're going to go on with Don Jr., who's then going to talk about how these pipe bombs were somehow a backup plan from the Democratic Party to somehow stop Joe Biden being certified as president. It never makes any sense. Why would Democrats want to stop it and then send 2,000 rabid MAGA Republicans into the Capitol to kill people and go after their Democratic officials? It literally doesn't make any sense. That's their entire objective, though, to talk about how this is all someone else's issue. So since it's all someone else's issue, all you have to do is scratch a little bit deeper into the surface. It's being reported this morning that the accused DC pipe bomber, Brian Cole, that man there in that picture, told investigators that he believed the 2020 election was stolen? Wait, how does it make sense that the guy who planted pipe bombs on January 6th to stop the certification of Joe Biden to become president after he won that election, why would he believe that that Donald Trump won and the election was stolen? Why would he believe such a thing? I got to read a little bit into this to try and figure out where this guy's brain was. So during interviews with the FBI, the suspect arrested in this pipe bomb probe told investigators that he did, in fact, believe the 2020 election was stolen, providing perhaps the first indication of a possible motive for the bombs being placed near both the DNC and RNC headquarters. The FBI arrested him, he's 30 years old, just yesterday on these charges that he planted those pipe bombs near those headquarters. The night before, they then went in there and got to rioting and talking about killing Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi and everyone else they could think of. Cole spent hours with the FBI investigators and made multiple statements. Dan Bongino, deputy FBI director, told Fox News on Thursday that the FBI had interviewed the suspect at length, but he didn't elaborate. I wonder why he didn't elaborate about the things that they discussed with this guy. Maybe because he's saying things that they all have been saying. And then he went, oh, wait a second. You mean the guy who's accused of planting pipe bombs could have been in agreement with us, who wanted to stop this whole process? It's weird how that all works together. It's like, reality. Here's a little bit more. The FBI and the Justice Department declined to comment for this story. Why? Hey, Kash Patel is all over people's podcasts and in front of podiums. Why won't he talk to CNN about this? The Bureau believes that the man compiled bomb-making supplies for months before leaving the viable explosive devices outside of those offices. Again, I just wonder, where the hell did Brian Cole, the suspect in this pipe bombing case that Kash Patel can't stop talking about, that is until someone asks him, hey, how about his belief systems? Where could he have possibly gotten the idea from that the election was stolen?
With the birth of Jesus, human history turned from night to day. His word and his example call us to love one another, to serve one another, and to honor the sacred truth that every child is specially made in the image of God. For 250 years, think of it, our country is 250 years. This is a big year. I'm so happy that our presidency was delayed. Otherwise, I'd be sitting home watching television, not being invited. I would be extremely upset. And remember, we have not only the 250 years, but this is a big one. We have the World Cup and we have the Olympics coming up all within this 4-year period. See, if they didn't rig the election, I would have been sitting, can you imagine? I wouldn't have any of them. And I probably wouldn't have been invited. I would have been very upset by that.
This sorry sumbitch couldn't even focus on the Jesus script that they wrote in his teleprompter to go over to talk about Christmas without going on to his tangents about how the election was rigged and stolen from him. Hey, did you guys know? Brian Cole, the suspected January 6th pipe bomber, believes that the election was stolen. I wonder where he got that idea from.